Okay, so we're gonna start with drawing a line in the middle of the page. Then roughly 1 centimeter from the edge, put a point here. Then draw another line like that. Then we're gonna use 1:20 scale for our frame, and our room is gonna be 5 meters wide, which is 25 centimeters at 1:20 scale. Our horizon line is gonna be 1.6 meters from the ground plane, which again is 8 centimeters at 1:20 scale. And the height of the room is 3 meters. Okay, now what you want to do is to have middle of that would be 12.5 centimeter. So what you want to do is to take that 12.5 centimeter distance and offset it here, and that will give us a depth point. Let's go with D for depth. The second point we're gonna put is our vanishing point, which is gonna be 9 centimeters away from the edge. You don't want to have vanishing point right in the middle of your frame here. You want it to be roughly off, some distance off, either to this side or to this side from the center point. And the reason is the viewer's eyes would be drawn straight into that middle point. If vanishing point would be in the middle point, it would just distract from your drawing, and you don't want to do that. You want viewer's eye to sort of wander around the page before it finds a focus point. This depth point here, the way it works is if you have a frame, perspective frame, and you have a horizon line, okay, you have your, vanishing point somewhere there. What you always want to try to do is to have a distance between the center point of your frame. So if this is your frame, you want this distance here have it same to here from the edge of the frame, right? And have that distance point. Actually, what you can do, in our case, we're putting it here. So on our drawing, we have this distance equals that distance set right here. But actually, you can go further than that. You can, depending on your situation, you can put your distance point anywhere on this line here. And what it's gonna do by setting it here, it's gonna control your focal length. As a diagram, slightly exaggerated, if you have your room drawn from this depth point to look roughly like that, the perspective is going to be exaggerated slightly. Whereas if you start putting your depth point here towards, the end of this line, then it's going to be much more sort of brought forward. So it's not kind of like a fisheye effect like we have here. It's much more a sort of zoom lens effect where you zoom into your object. So that's the difference. So if you want to have something like that, this is the point. This is, you want to put it closer to the frame, somewhere around this area. Whereas if you want it to be much more kind of zoom lens type of, if you want to have that, achieve that sort of feeling of zoom lens, then you put it there really. But in our case, because our sheet is A3 and we don't have that much space, so we'll go with this. So now what you want to do, you want to subdivide this ground plane into 1 meter increments. So every 5 centimeters represent 1 meter in real world. And do the same here for the height. So once you have that, what you want to do is actually start, you know, from the corners of your frame, start drawing lines towards the vanishing point. Okay, now once you have these set up, then what you want to do is, in principle, start setting out the depth. So the way it works, you just, if this is 1 meter, then you want to project that line to depth point here, and the 2nd meter. So this gives us 2 meters in depth, like that. Okay, so this gives us a grid. And then I'm gonna start to project the grid on the floor. And then verticals as well. Okay, now you have a floor plane drawn. And you wanna have this 5 meter point in distance to be connected with walls and the ceiling, like that. Okay, now we're gonna put our stair in. Our stair is gonna be located at the far corner of this roof, so 1, 2, 3, 4 meters away from this line, and it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4 meters wide. What we want to do is 1 meter away from that wall, we want to draw another line, and then from this point here, connect those 2 points. Now this stair is going to have 15 risers, so you want to subdivide this pitch into 15 equal parts, and to do that you just take another sheet of paper, put it against the pitch and have it length on your new sheet. Then you can have to kind of put it perpendicular to your ruler, and then from one of those points draw a line perpendicular to your page. And next we need 15 equal parts, roughly put it so that it's 15 centimeters long, and then put a pointers at every 1 centimeter. Now what you want to do is project these 15 equal increments onto this line. Now you're ready to put these onto your pitch. Okay, now what you want to do is to draw some vertical lines from this point to the height of approximately the next one. Now we have risers. Now we have to put some goings. And also erase that back line as well. But also erase this one and horizon line as well here. So it just makes it clearer. Okay, now this is probably going to be tricky to see, but see where this stair begins? This beginning of the stair, this riser, it will start on this point. So draw a vertical line, and then from this point here you want to draw a line towards Vanishing Point. So what we have is basically, diagrammatically speaking, we have our stair drawn like that. Now what we're doing is putting a second point here, drawing line up, then drawing a line that goes to vanishing point. Okay, so suddenly we have this projected 1 meter forward. Alright, and from this point what we want is to put a line parallel to this pitch. Your pitch angle aligned properly. Alright, you can project it forward slightly, and that's going to be pitch of not this part of the staircase but the furthermost part. Okay, so now on this previous diagram what you want to do now is to every point of your where riser and going meet, you want to project it towards the vanishing point, okay, like that, and stop it at this pitch which we've drawn, and then from it project horizontal lines like that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, and the same principle, I mean, this drawing here shows this corner, but the same applies for this upper bit here, which is that, you know, we have that step there on top, and then we have a bunch going down like that. Then we obviously offset that pitch line here to back, and we draw lines towards from these corners towards the vanishing point, and then where these lines cross you then draw a line down. Okay. Okay, now I'm just gonna also erase this horizon line because we don't really need it anymore. Leave the vanishing point, always leave it, that single dot, it's quite important to have it. Okay, the second thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our windows in, and also our terrace. Our terrace is actually gonna be off outside our room, so it's gonna be 1 meter wide and then connected to vanishing point. And the way this window is gonna work is it's not just gonna be a window sort of glazing panels on this side, but it's also gonna be on the roof, slightly on the roof. There's gonna be interesting corner happening. So what you wanna do is you wanna have 1 meter away from the edge of perspective, draw line, project one line up, so 1 meter here, and then draw a line straight like that towards vanishing point. Now what's happening here, because we have staircase, we obviously have to have some sort of void, an opening here. So from this point here, you want to draw a straight line from there and erase, sorry, no, don't erase this. Actually leave that point here, you know, where this line meets this line. Leave a point there, and then from that point project down. Okay, so now we're gonna draw our glazing, and actually what we want to show is that our glazing, it's 12 millimeters roughly, quarter meter, and erase this line there. Just leave that corner so you know where the initial perspective frame is. I'm just gonna project from this corner, and now I'm just gonna put a guidelines for our glazing. So again, we're gonna space them 1 meter apart. What I think I want to do now is to add like another 2 in the distance, and one way obviously to do it would be, you know, like we have these increments here and then we project towards this point, to have 2 more on this side, but obviously we're off page. And, you know, it's not necessary to be pedantic about these things, so what I'll do, I'll just eyeball 2 lines, roughly, you know, one at probably 5 millimeters and one at 3 millimeters. And also notice this thing here, we don't really need that line anymore. Okay, so now you want to have these horizontals shown as well. Don't worry about lines crossing too much as long as you know what's happening. Let's do 1 meter handrail on this side. And the next thing we want to do is to show our table. And we're gonna have some chairs as well. So the table, the chairs, first of all, the starting point of the chair, the leg of the chair is gonna be here. And the chair is roughly 40 by 40 centimeters, the bit you're sitting on. So 2 centimeters at 1 to 20 is 400, so that's going to be width of our chair. This table, we're going to start here, and you know, it's probably going to be roughly 1.5 meters. So we'll need, so the table is going to start 2 meters off this side, and it's going to be 1.5 meters, which is 7.5 centimeters. And it's going to be 2 meters in depth. So this is the square where it's going to be sitting in. And then you'll also need, and also space. There's going to be some chairs here as well, so space them again like you did on this side. So it's 2.5, 5 mil off here. I don't think we need grid anymore, so let's get rid of that. So we're gonna have 1 table here and 3 chairs on every side, because it's a long table, it's a 2 meter table. And again, these are gonna be spaced equally. So if you have 2 meters, you can have 3 chairs, and the way it works, you're gonna have in plan, you know, you're gonna have, this is our 2 meter table here, and the chairs are 40, 40 and 40, and gonna have spacing in between them as well, 40 and 40. So the chairs are 40 centimeters by 40 centimeters, but also the spacing between them is. So let's then do the following. We're gonna start to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spacings, and then we want to circle those just to avoid confusion. Okay, let's circle those. Let's then project these circled points to this line again. Okay, so what we get here now is that if we connect these like that, we're gonna have 1, 2 and 3 chairs on both sides. And again, just, you know, you can erase those lines in between. Okay, so the table is about 700 millimeters high, which is 4 centimeters. So that's where our edge of the table is. We project this line and then we offset 4 centimeters for height. And then, you know, project that line from here to there. And from the edge of our plan drawing, we then also project one more line. It gives us the height of the table here. And also, you know, that's the leg behind it. You can also draw one here in front. And this is going to be our extruded cube. And now for the chairs themselves. Okay, so 2 centimeters height from this baseline, projected up and then projected towards vanishing point. From our plan drawing, we then get that height where those two lines cross. And then just let's get this line drawn. Okay, this is going to be probably hard to see, but the principle is the same here. We're just extruding boxes like we did with the table, and you just have to be more accurate with what you're drawing. And then again, the height of that chair is going to be somewhere here. Don't have to be that accurate. Just put it slightly, that point slightly higher than the table corner. These ones are slightly trickier, but the thing is, you won't really see the chairs in between that much. You would only see the front one really. So again, project line from that corner to here, and then towards vanishing point, and from the edge up. And at this point also, what you want to do is probably, roughly in the middle of every one of these chairs, put a point. Alright? You put a point in the middle of them, and then from this point, which is the edge, which is the leg of the chair, just draw a line here, put it there, put the point there, project it to our perspective frame, then towards the vanishing point, and from these earlier points we then just sort of put 1, 2, 3 markers. Okay, so now let's project those lines. Like that. So they're roughly in the middle of the table. Too accurate? Well, that's so 3 points on the ceiling like that. Erase those. And then I don't know, maybe 1.5 width. So let's not forget the handrail. Again, a meter high, and then offset from the pitch as we did before. And then from these landing slightly off to one side. Draw a guardings, the railing. Just slightly off, because otherwise it's gonna look weird if you just do it straight from these corners. You might add some depth to this table as well. Now you want to have some shelves. It's the same principle, really. Every 1 meter you'll have line going up. Now what you want to do is to have these shelves to be at 2 centimeter intervals, and give them some depth as well. Just, you know, roughly, I don't know, 1.5 centimeters. Right, now, so these are your shelves. What you want to add is some thickness as well to them. And then same to these. Okay, now we have to just finish off these frames. They're gonna be about 5 millimeters thick. Okay, I think this one's slightly too thick. And also, you know, you can roughly set the thickness this way as well. Okay, and we're just gonna have those boards set up outside as well. Just roughly aligned with these. Again, 1 meter distance, and then in between, you know, you roughly just divide them maybe in 3-4 parts. And then just draw, you know, an ocean of railings in between there. It doesn't again have to be accurate, it's just you want to see this rhythm. And then lastly, you just, you know, just put some, maybe a glass of wine. As a concept, this could work very well actually with, you know, if they say that you're supposed to, when you design these interiors, you're supposed to have a client in mind. So I think in this case, a family with the wine gardens, perhaps outside. You know, this is flat overlooking their wine gardens. And you can also add, at this point, a thickness to these chairs. So now we're gonna trace this drawing using this, it's about 50 gram paper, which is called a layout paper. You can just about see the background of our drawing. So we're gonna use this paper. Actually, what I want to do now is to center this current image that we have. Just gonna try to roughly put it in the middle and use masking tape to fix it. So ignore all the construction lines. Focus only on what you're gonna see in the final thing. Okay, so what I did is I copied the image I had on my A3 printer. I've scanned it and then I printed it. It's a bit thicker paper than I had before, so you know I can use my eraser on it without destroying the drawing. We're gonna use two main colors, sort of dark brown and a bit lighter, kind of orangey brown. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna shade in the floor we have. Okay, the next thing we're gonna use this darker color to do shadows on this cupboard unit. Now let's do the shadow areas for the chairs as well. And then the idea for this is that, you know, you have this timber material here. You know, the color of it is very dark brown. Then the same happening here, you know, the tables and the table and the chairs are kind of similar shade to that. But because we have a light coming from this direction, the light is cool, daylight is cool. So we're gonna use as a base color, we're gonna cover these elements with this gray, which is slightly, you know, darker than this, but lighter than this color. Using the same color, you can color in the structural glazing. And you can use darker marker to make shadows. The next thing you're gonna need is a cloth of some sort. I have this a tissue from an all-purpose cleaner. I just dried it up and I think it's gonna work perfectly for our purposes. So you can use either your arm, your fingers, or you can use the cloth to smudge the pastel around. I have a sheet of paper as well handy. couple of them actually, because it's gonna be used as a masking tool. So the pastels I have here, I have a bunch of them, but I'm gonna be mainly using the gray one here and the dark brown for my purposes. First of all, let's have a sheet of paper. Using masking tape, temporarily stitch it to our paper here, so that it aligns here, like that roughly. Then let's get our dark brown pastel and our cloth. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just have a thick layer of pastel here, and then just gently, in circular motion pattern, project this. So it creates almost like this gradient effect like you get in Photoshop. I'll have another sheet and put it on top here. And the reason why I'm using paper to do these things is just it makes final drawing look much neater. So it's nice and smudged. Let's also cover this corner. For this we're going to use the dark brown again. So you can draw probably directly in this place because it's such a big area. So next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using this even darker color for the shadows, or actually I might as well use the black. Probably too much contrast, but let's go with it for a second. Shadows under the table. Okay, now let's start erasing stuff we don't need. Cover your drawing with a piece of paper so that you don't smudge what's underneath. Get a knife and then cut your rubber like that so you get a sharp edge. Okay, now I want to enhance some contact shadows around here. See, now I'm just gonna get some shadows, dark shadows underneath so I have more contrast. Let's use the corrector as the last touch.